Arthur Clark, one of my very favorite people, who has been with us at CBS for several of these missions now. And Arthur, what do you think we ought to do next? I mean, what would you like to see? The space station or Mars? Or perhaps both. Well, I guess you'd like to see both. We all like to see all we can do, but given some national priority problems.
We will see both. I think the first order priority is the establishment of an economical space transporter so that we can establish a large space station which will act as an astronomical observatory, which will tell us a very great deal about Mars and the other planets before we get there, because then with large telescopes in space near the Earth, we'll learn a great deal about these places. And also, from the space station, in the space station, we can develop the techniques of long-range space exploration. I think in space we may discover the way of controlling gravity. I don't think we've had any chance of learning much about gravity here on the Earth because we're in it all the time, you see. But when we get out in space, effectively beyond the pull of gravity, we'll be able to study it and perhaps learn how to control it. And that will be a tremendous breakthrough. And we often use this parallel of coming out of the sea onto land. And I'd like to take it further. You know, in the sea, we could not develop civilization for a simple reason. In the ocean, you cannot have fire. And fire is the key to all our civilization, all our technology. I believe in the same way when we get beyond the atmosphere, out into the new environment of space, we will find new powers, new capabilities, as much beyond fire as that was beyond anything that could be done in the sea.
We're going to have to find something as a substitute for fire, aren't we? You can't have a fire out there any more than you can have it in the sea.
Well, you can have fire, you can have chemical reactions, of course. After all, that's what how our rockets work, but we'll have other things.
You were writing about going out to the moon. What was your feeling when we saw this thing happen today?
Well, I don't think I did feel anything. I think we all sort of, time just stopped to me, and I think it stopped for everybody.
Speaking of national rivalries, do you have any thoughts about what the Russians may be doing now that we know that their unmanned Luna 15 is in an orbit very similar to ours around the equator of the moon?
My theory is that it's going to land with a bottle of vodka.
A congratulatory bottle of vodka or a ceremonial bottle? I can't imagine a moment to equal this. The only thing I could imagine is if some fellow came forward and could say positively we're not going to have any more war.
I think this is a step in that direction, because this sort of thing is making our stupidities here on Earth seem more and more intolerable. And I think this may be the greatest result of the space program.
Well, thank you, Arthur Clark. Bill Stout and Robert Heinlein.
You know, Walter, in thinking back to what these men have written about and done so many years before, you were talking in your book about nuclear power as the means of getting there.
Yes, nuclear power. We will be using nuclear power in spaceships. This is a certainty. We're going to go on bigger, farther. I think this whole business today, this week, has been thought of in many cases in too small terms. This is the greatest event in all the history of the human race up to this time. Today is New Year's Day of the year one. If we don't change the calendar, historians will do so. The human race, this is our change, our puberty rites, bar mitzvah, confirmation, from the change from infancy into adulthood for the human race. And we are going to go on out not only to the moon, to the stars, we're going to spread. But I do know that your grandchildren, the descendants of all of us, will be in colonies elsewhere. The human race will not die. Even if we spoil this planet, the human race will not die. It's going to go on and on and on. And this is, Confucius, I think it was, said, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Today we have made the one step.